Russia's latest battlefield bulletin is staggering in scale. The Ministry of Defense says that between November 13th and 16, Russian troops completed the mopping up of Rog, while Ukrainian forces suffered over 5,290 losses in just 3 days, along with tanks, armored vehicles, NATO artillery, HIMARS launchers, and Neptune missile systems. But the numbers are only half the story. The voices of Ukraine's own captured soldiers show a front line collapsing from hunger, chaos, and total command breakdown. The first testimony comes from Vadim Zakusilo, a serviceman of Ukraine's 32nd Mechanized Brigade, captured in Krasnoarmeysk, Pokrovsk to Kyiv. He describes being pushed into positions under drone guidance without supplies, leadership, or basic survival provisions.
I ended up in Pokrovsk after the training center. They guided us in with drones and radio. And that's it. I went in. They brought me in. On the 3rd, from Sunday to Monday, I was already at the position. They brought me in. Because I started snapping at my own people. They didn't give food, no water, nothing. I started saying into the radio that this is how it is. You're not giving us anything to eat. And fighting hungry, cold.
Zakusilo says the men were starved, frozen, and abandoned. He insists Ukraine has no chance of taking Pokrovsk, not with the losses he witnessed, nor with the rotations of poorly trained replacements being fed into the line like expendable manpower.
I surrendered immediately. Simply, we will have many losses and there will be much meat. There simply won't be enough people to take Pokrovsk. No matter how hard you try to take it, no matter how hard you try to fight, we won't take this Pokrovsk. There's no way we'll take it. Well, and they'll run out. The next ones they brought are also for studying. In a month, it will be the same thing again.
The next part of Zakusilo's testimony is even more telling. He says his company commander never responded on the radio, suggesting he was killed. Moments later, a Ukrainian drop drone struck their own position.
To the company commander, there's such a thing that he didn't get on comms. The radio calls were like Tartuga calling, Tartuga, but he didn't get on comms. Either KIA 200 or, more likely, KIA. If he doesn't respond, then KIA. The first drop drone spotted us. It flew at us from the drone window with our own troops. Well, we were alive. It caught on something, exploded not far from us. Alive.
After being hit by one drone and spotted by another, Zakusilo says a Russian DRG approached the trench. He and his comrades surrendered instantly, only to come under fire from Ukrainian mortars and drones while surrendering.
But a second drone spotted us, and right then the DRG approached, and we were covered with a tarp, and we only heard shots that they were shooting at us. We immediately stupidly raised our hands and said we were surrendering. But our own people, ours, even wanted to kill us. Further, as they were leading me, when they took me prisoner. Further, mortars and drones were working on us. They met me well. They bandaged me. I had a wound on my arm. They gave me aid, fed me, gave tea and everything. Normal, they met me well and everything. I'm grateful for this.
The second testimony comes from Ivan Savich, a soldier of the 42nd Brigade. He begins by describing pre-war conversations about Zelensky, territorial loss, and Ukraine's political trajectory. He says he was conscripted after missing work, received only 10 days of basic trench defense training, and was then shuffled between regions with minimal preparation.
Before I ended up in the army, we always sat together with friends. On Monday, we drank kvass or lemonade. We always talked about only one thing. Why wage this war if Zelensky is doing what he's doing anyway? That he'll sell off all of Ukraine's territory? I ended up in military service when I didn't make it to work. The TCC, Territorial Recruitment Center, took me, and I ended up at the Rivne training ground. Training taught us, prepared us to defend only trenches. Then someone from Rivne came to us. A buyer from the 42nd Brigade took us, brought us for 10 days of training. The 10 days of training was strategically to guard trenches, and if anything, not to let them be captured. That's what our 10 days of training was.
Savich then describes being moved to Krasnoarmeysk, where dead and wounded Ukrainian soldiers were left lying at the position without evacuation. He says supplies were non-existent. No radios, no weapons, not even a partner soldier to operate with.
There, when they brought me the first day, in 3 days I saw 4 dead and 1 wounded. Because they were at the main location, didn't put on body armor, took it off and sat like that. But they ended up being 3 KIA, 200, 1 WIA, 300. Actually about 5 or 6 people, I know, surrendered. First of all, there was no supply of weapons, no radios, nothing. I had nothing. I was, and I didn't have a second person to do something with. I had to run and run, because I didn't have strength to sit anymore.
Savich describes being trapped alone in a trench with only 50 grams of water left. When Russian troops stormed the position, he revealed himself and surrendered, insisting he was unarmed.
There was a bottle. There was 50 grams of water in it. I showed the water and put the bottle to the side, said weapons, I don't have anything near me. And so I surrendered. Comparatively, how the Ukrainian authorities talk, much better, 1,000 times. Because the Ukrainian authorities lie a lot, but here there isn't that. People treated me like a human being. I asked for water, they gave water. Asked for a cigarette, they gave one. This is generally normal. People treat prisoners like human beings.
Savich ends with a direct attack on Ukrainian military leadership, accusing commanders of sending troops into an abyss, lying about Russian treatment of POWs, and offering no viable path to survival except surrender.
I want to live because of the commander. He discussed incorrectly, didn't think through that he sent us on such a, excuse me, thing, that this is wrong. You don't need to send people there. It's just an abyss. He sends people, didn't think anything through. He wanted it that way, so it has to be. People are unhappy that Ukrainian soldiers are on their territory. The people themselves aren't happy about this.
The two testimonies from Pokrovsk and Krasnoarmeysk align with the staggering battlefield losses reported by Russia over the same 72-hour window. What emerges is a picture of a front line where Ukrainian units are hollowed out. Commanders are missing or killed. Supplies have collapsed. Drones replace leadership. And troops speak openly of an abyss they are being pushed into. The battle for Pokrovsk is still underway, but the battle for Ukraine's manpower, morale, and cohesion may already be slipping away.